Princess Valera had watched champions die, kings fall, and beasts the size of gunships tear warriors apart beneath imperial arena lights. She had seen 1,000 duels across 12 worlds, everyone shaped by rules older than the throne. But when the human prisoner stepped onto the black glass floor without armor, without a crest, and without even a proper weapon, the princess leaned forward because he did not bow. He only looked at the four-armed champion and asked, "Is this supposed to be fair?" The arena forgot how to breathe. The human was Darius Cole, a captured engineer from a broken Terran mining ship, dragged alive from wreckage after refusing to give evacuation codes for 300 civilians. The Empire called him stubborn, primitive, disposable, a soft-skinned creature from a species that survived by accident. Valera expected a quick execution, but Darius studied the floor, the lights, the vents, the distance to the balcony, and smiled as if the room had told him a secret. Opposite him stood Lord Karvik, undefeated blade of the Empire, 7 feet tall, plated in blue bone armor, 4 hands holding curved sword, shock spear, hook chain, and needle dagger. His people treated violence like mathematics. Every enemy reduced to timing and weakness when the gong thundered. Karvik came forward like lightning, spear for the throat, chain for the legs, sword for the ribs, dagger for the heart. The crowd rose to cheer, then stopped, because the human did not block anything. He fell not from fear, not from clumsiness. He dropped like a broken tool, ugly and sudden. The spear cut air. The chain screamed over his shoulder. The sword struck sparks from the floor. And Darius rolled beneath the champion's lower arm, slammed an elbow into a joint no imperial manual respected, then scrambled away. The court hissed in disgust. It was dirty, graceless, almost insulting. An admiral muttered that humans did not understand honor. But the princess had seen the truth. Darius was not failing to duel. He was forcing the duel to fail. Then the human bled. And the Empire smiled too soon. Karvik roared and advanced with sacred precision. The chain spun into a silver ring. The spear boxed Darius toward the death line. The sword punished every retreat. The dagger waited for panic. Darius took a cut across the arm, a burn across the cheek, and a spear grazed that painted his shirt red. Yet his eyes never followed the weapons for long. He watched feet, shoulders, breath, balance. The princess felt a cold thrill. The human was learning in public. Pain was not stopping him. Pain was becoming information. Every world in the Empire taught warriors one perfect style until it became identity. But humans had no single sacred way to fight. They boxed, wrestled, ambushed, improvised, repaired, cheated death with tools, then wrote manuals explaining what nearly killed them. Darius fought like a soldier for 2 breaths, then a dock brawler, then a mechanic wrestling a live cable. Every movement looked wrong until it worked. Karvik struck him in the chest, and the crack of ribs echoed through the arena. Darius dropped to one knee, gasping, and the champion raised all 4 weapons for the sacred bloom, spear to pin, sword to open, dagger to end, chain to display. The crowd leaned forward, hungry for the story to return to normal, but Darius was laughing. One broken breath through bloody teeth. Karvik snarled and asked why, and the human whispered, "Because you finally stood where I wanted you." The Eastern Lights died for half a heartbeat. Nobody understood. Nobody except the engineer who had spent every retreat counting the cracked seams beneath the black glass. Every fall, dragging blood across conductive lines. Every desperate roll pulling the champion closer to the maintenance grid. The Empire had searched Darius for weapons. They had not searched the arena for things a human could turn into weapons. His stolen needle dagger flashed into the floor seam. The grid screamed blue. Karvik's hook chain became a path for lightning, and the undefeated champion convulsed under his own sacred weapon. He did not die. Darius made sure of that, and mercy frightened the princess more than murder. Karvik crashed to the floor, smoking, conscious, beaten, spared. Darius staggered upright, one hand pressed to his ribs. One eye swelling shut, shirt soaked dark, he picked up the curved sword and stopped with its edge at Karvek's throat. By imperial law, a prisoner who won by duel could demand one prize. Valera expected revenge. Instead, Darius looked up at the balcony and said, "Release the civilians." The words struck harder than steel. The Emperor rose and declared the duel invalid, won by sabotage, without honor. Nobles shouted approval. Priests spat curses. Admirals demanded the human be executed. But Valera stood before the order could fall. Because she was first heir, the arena recognized her rising as law. She drew her ceremonial blade and laid it flat across both palms. "The duel was witnessed," she said. "The champion lives. The human claims his prize. Release the civilians in that moment." The empire cracked where everyone could see it. Darius swayed. And Valera crossed the forbidden floor, while guards panicked behind her. Karvik could not meet her eyes because he had been spared by someone he had called prey. The princess reached Darius just as his knees failed, and the human looked up with a tired grin. "Your Highness," he muttered, "I think your duel system has safety issues." Valera should have been offended. Instead, she laughed. One sharp sound that cut through the shouting court. Some would say the rebellion began with civilians leaving imperial custody. Others would say it began when Valera sent Darius to the medical wing. But everyone who saw the duel knew the truth. It began when a human with broken ribs entered a sacred arena, bled on its perfect floor, ruined its perfect rules, spared its perfect champion, and walked out with more than victory. Princess Valera had seen 1,000 duels, but only one taught her fear. Not fear of human strength, not fear of human weapons, not even fear of human rage. She feared the human habit of looking at an unwinnable fight and asking what else the fight could become. And as the freed civilian shuttles rose beyond the palace shields, she watched Darius breathe under guard and whispered the truth that would one day bring down the throne. The Empire had trained warriors to win duels. Humanity had trained survivors to change worlds.